Welcome back to the Travsessed podcast. We're your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of Travsessed. Travsessed provides on-the-clock, off-the-clock resources for healthcare travelers. On the clock being our amazing course, Traveler's School, and off the clock being our adventure trips, Travsessed Adventures, where we plan, lead, and host amazing adventure trips with like-minded healthcare workers, healthcare travelers around the globe, doing some really cool adventures with like-minded, amazing people. You can check all that out on our website, imtravsessed.com. But until then, let's get ready for the show. It is a Traveler Hot Tip Tuesday, so here we go.
Flight crew, please prepare for departure.
Okay, so today was my first day as a traveler in a hospital in West Virginia after being off for 9 months.
Which is crazy because, you know, every day or every first day, right, on a contract is like you're nervous, right? There's always nerves going in. You're like, you know, what's it going to be like? What are the people like? What's the flow, right? Like you're just walking into a new environment. There's always going to be nerves. But especially when you're walking in after being 9 months away, it's like you feel so out of the game. And I think that's the longest you've ever been off. Because for me, that's very normal.
It's the same.
You've had 9 months off before?
Mm-hmm. That is the longest. I've never been over 9 months.
Okay. Because I've been off for like a year.
No.
And then like walking back in.
Buddy, you haven't worked since 2022.
No, excuse me. I did PRN. Thank you.
Okay. Very true.
Yeah. But yeah, every time I've gone back in after taking a significant time off or a significant amount of time, it always, you feel more nerves because you're just like, okay, like I gotta like get back into my groove and like I'm a little rusty, and you know, you have to like go through things in your head, like things that become second nature when you're in the hospital all the time. It's just like you don't even think about it. It's just part of like the fabric of your being. But when you're off for so long, it's like those little things you actually have to put effort in and like think about. Like
talking to patients?
Yeah, like even like your spiels of like talking to patients. Yeah, and like how you set up your tray, or like for me, my protocols, like things that I don't even really think about when I'm just like naturally, you know, in my flow as a sonographer. But when I get back into it, I'm like, damn, I really have to like think through this. But then it's like riding a bike. It like clicks back in. You're like, oh yeah, I remember how to do all this shit.
I will say we're recording this on my first day. This is not being released on my first day. So you guys are listening to this and it's my second day. But
we're recording this at 7:30 at night. Aaron just got home like an hour and a half ago. But a trooper, we had a little supper and I'm like, babe, we got to record this one. So we're hopping on the mic real quick to record because the topic is also very kind of relevant to what we're even talking about. So I feel like...
So this week's Traveler Quick Tip is on gaps in your resume. And we're going to kind of get into that because for a long time, Kim and I never had any issues. Like I'm saying, this is not the first time I've had 9 month gap in my resume, and it's never been a big deal. If anything, it's created amazing talking points during my interview, which then allows us to get talking, which then allows them to like me, which then allows me to hear them talk, which then I'm like, okay, I'm going there. It's good energy. And so it's always been a positive thing. But
yeah, this is the first time that it's ever really been an issue. And we've talked about this before, and we're like, yeah, you know, because, you know, we're advocates for taking time off and, you know, taking a few months off in between contracts and traveling, or taking 6 months off or a year off and, you know, traveling or coming on a bunch of Travsessed trips. Like, we're like pro taking time off. And so, because that's part of the freedom and flexibility that we have as travelers, right? It's like we get to choose that, and we can choose to take, you know, work our butts off for 6 months and then take 6 months off to travel if we want. So that's a really cool part of what we get to do. And so our lifestyle for the first couple of years, we worked kind of nonstop. We didn't take that much time off because we were like paying down debts and like cleaning up like all of our financial messes. And then a few years in, like, we started taking more longer stretches of time off, and then that became our new normal.
Yeah, it started at 3 months, then it went to 6, and then it went to 9, and then I've kind of stayed at that 9 maxed, where I almost work, take 9 off, take 9 off.
And because of our dynamic, you know, because we run Travsessed, and so that's, you know, a full-time job. And so a lot of times one of us will work, and one of us will stay home, and usually that one of us is Aaron working.
Yeah, because that dynamic just works better. We just realized Kim does really well. If you've never done my human design, I highly suggest it. But like, Kim just does good motivating herself and like checking off things off the list, where that's not my thing. I'm kind of a more big idea, small task kind of person. Whereas like, I really do well waking up in the morning, going to work, coming home, getting things done, going to bed, doing it again. Like, that's not a big deal for me. And so like, and plus my shifts, I always find better shifts to where you and I can still do Travsessed and I can manage my day. Whereas like, a lot of times it's variable for you, or a lot of call, or weekends, or holidays, or, you know, overnights, and then daytime, and then mid shift.
Also your pay is really high, like, compared to mine.
Yep.
IR pay is just higher, so your contracts are higher. And yeah, you mentioned the human design. It basically kind of just tells you like the fabric of your soul, and it's like on our minds because we went through ours yesterday or on Sunday. And so we just went through it and broke it all down, and we were kind of like having these aha moments of like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Of, you're really good at this, and here's why, and this is just like our dynamic, and we don't need to like really change things. It's just like how we were built and how we were made, which is really interesting. You should definitely check it out, because it was like, whoa, like I felt like it was just like speaking to my soul.
Totally.
But I'm really good at being home and just getting shit done. Like, I put my head down, I'm really good at it, and I'm really good at then, like, you come home and I'm like, hey, we're going live here, we have this podcast, or can you do this for the trips, or we need this, and like, I'm really good at like getting all the shit done and getting it organized, and then delegating what that you need to do, and you're really good at accomplishing those tasks. So that was a whole tangent, but like, that's kind of how our dynamic has worked. And so I have not taken an actual travel contract since Palm Springs,
May of 2021.
No.
Yes. Yes. 2021.
Wait, when did we leave Palm Springs? We left in May?
May of 2021. You stopped in April of 2021. I had another month to go. And so I left May, and then we came home, and remember, like, we drove home. It was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
And then we went to Asheville for my birthday. That was 2021.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, wow, that's really crazy to think about. Yeah, because then we went and traveled for 3 months, I think, and then we came home.
Yeah, we went Italy, Greece, Portugal.
Yeah.
And then came home, and then I worked at Emory and
then
did all of that.
Again,
and then we left again.
Our Peru trips, and then we went to Bali, and then we came home, and then we went to New York, and you worked again, and then we left there, and then we went back to Bali to run the trips. So here that's insane. So, okay, so as you can see, that's a really long gap. And then I did work PRN in Florida, so I do have that on my resume, but it's not that long of a period of time. So this was the first time. So originally, Aaron and I wanted to take a contract together. Even though it's harder for us to keep up with everything else, it's really good money. So we're like, let's bang this out. 10 weeks, we'll both work. We'll make a shit ton of money. That didn't happen. That didn't work out this time. But my recruiter was like, listen, like, you have this huge gap now, this work history gap on your resume. And, well, it's interesting because my AMN recruiter was the one telling me this, but then my IA recruiter didn't say shit about it,
right,
which is interesting. And yeah, I almost got a couple jobs with Aya, actually. They just didn't want to work with the time that I had available because we're leaving for Bali again.
Ooh, that's interesting. So I think if our AMN recruiter would have never said anything,
would I have even
would
thought
we
about
even
it?
be
Yeah.
doing this podcast?
Right. Yeah, that's because, she never said anything about it.
That's true. Our IA person never did. And you were like submitted for jobs.
Yeah.
No problem. And had interviews.
Right. That's interesting.
It is.
I think, so my AMN recruiter was just basically saying, like, you know, when you have this big of a gap, it's not that you can't get a job, but if the facility's just looking at these resumes and then they're seeing like, oh, you haven't worked in how long, like they might just skip over you and not even get you on an interview, right? And so she was saying that as of right now, like I'm in a position that I really do need to get a current work history. So if that's me picking up some PRN shifts, or I was hoping to land a contract this time just to get something more recent, because she said as of now, really, we can get you into all the direct contracts, because she's like, I have direct relationships with those account managers because it's direct with the facility, so they can submit, they can call, they can talk, they can say she's a great traveler, they can give them a reason, she runs her own business, or she's been out, blah, blah, blah. And so there's more of a chance that they can like get me in to get an interview. And then once I get on the interview, it's golden. But she cannot submit me to any vendor. So like any VMS jobs, which a lot of jobs are VMS jobs. But because it's that third party, they have no communication. So she's like, we're not even going to submit you to those jobs because you're just going to get passed over.
So it shrunk your availability down significantly.
Yeah.
And so just being aware of that, right? Because again, we talk about it all the time with the fact that the freedom, the money, and the time that healthcare traveling gives you is the joy of why we're traveling. I mean, they asked me today, why would you never go full time? And I said, the freedom, period, end of story. Like, that's just it. I can pick and choose what I want to do when I want to do it. And like, you can't beat that. Like, I'm not submitting PTO. I'm not doing, I mean, it's just unthinkable for me to even think I would go back full time. And so we promote that all the time, but now I don't think most healthcare travelers are not going to have a contract since 2021 without any sort of work history.
And that's what I was going to say. I think it's
very rare.
This is a unique case just because, so when we've taken 3 months off or 6 months off or even a year, this was never an issue. And we've done that so much. And there's a lot of travelers who take that amount of time off. They come back, they take jobs. It's not a problem. It's because of, I mean, again, we just said 2021, and then I worked for like a month or so doing PRN. So it was just like very little work history. And so that's kind of what the issue became.
So what's your closing argument then?
So I guess it's not even an argument. I think it's just like...
No, I know. We've been watching a lot of lawyer shows. So what's your closing argument?
So it's just knowing, because I think we've gotten this question a lot about people worry even taking a couple of months off, right? Like, what do you mean taking 3 months? Like, what if you have that gap in your work history? Is that going to be an issue? And so I think the bottom line is it comes down to no, like take 3 months off, take 6 months off. Most travelers are not taking these really long stretches of time off. And so it really is not going to be an issue unless you have this huge gap or over a year like I do. So I think, 90% of people don't even have to think about it, but it is just something to be aware of if you're going to be taking big chunks of time off and you're not going to be working at all, then that is something that you might have more challenges trying to land a contract. But she's like, as soon as you get something, and so she did say you need to be more flexible because, you can only get it in for a direct contract. So right now, like your best bet is to be super flexible, kind of take something. So if Aaron wouldn't have taken this Charleston job, it's like, it would have been like, take something, get your foot back in the door, even if it's a lower bill rate or like, not one of these crazy high contracts, just get in there, get the resume going or get the work history updated, and then you'll be like good to go again. So
perfect. I think my closing argument is just using Kim as an example. So take time off, enjoy this world, enjoy what healthcare traveling offers you. Take 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever you want. But you can use Kim as an example. It wasn't until she took 2 years off and only worked 2 months within those 2 years that she got questioned. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, do with that as you will.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of cool. So take as much time off as you want.
Yeah.
And don't worry about your gaps.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Love it.
Something to think about.
Done and done.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed this quick traveler quick tip. And again, if you want to go check out our adventure trips, we're getting ready to launch Patagonia.
Woo woo.
We keep saying that, and we are just waiting on being able to lock in official dates because we do not want to launch a trip until we have these dates booked. And in order to do that, we have to make sure there's availability at refugios and different stuff. So we are just waiting on that one little piece. And then we are going to be ready to launch Patagonia. It's going to go for April 2024. We're super excited about that. If you want to get on the interest list, you can go to our website on travsessed.com. And yeah, I think that's it for now.
Yep.
All right, well, we will see you guys on Thursday.
Whoop.
Toodaloo, mother.